welcome to the latest episode of A Plus Productions. Bam! Classic. Here we are talking all things sports, entertainment, and most importantly, sports entertainment. We are your hosts. I'm Boris, and as always, I am joined by Matt.
Bonjour, Boris. The playoffs are happening in sports. By God, sports are sports and all over the place. There could be huge trades in the NBA. The Toronto Blue Jays are winning baseball games sometimes. What a day to be alive. How you feeling, big homie?
Pretty good. A little tired. It's been a very busy week, but overall, the weather is beautiful. Getting closer to a mini vacation here. Really, overall, cannot complain too much. How about yourself?
Nice, man. I'm pretty well. It was my friend's birthday there recently, Fleetwood. You've met him. He's my roommate. And we went to the Jays game with a bunch of people, had a good time. That was, of course, the game where the Jays lost 10-2 and just got obliterated. But on the plus side, we saw Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit a home run, and Dalton Varsho made that crazy catch where he fell in the outfield and then got up and caught it like behind the back sort of thing. So anytime you go to a Jays game, you see like what could be a legendary highlight. That's pretty good. That's like a W in and all of itself. But yeah, just recovering from a sickness myself, trying to go out and have a life, and you know how it is. Summer's coming too, though. That's nice.
Yep, it is coming fast and furious. Weather is so weird though, man. One day it's beautiful, next day it's shitty. Today, all weekend it's supposed to be raining, but I look outside and it's not too bad out. Very weird times here in Toronto, to say the least. But yeah, this week we are going to be doing a classic BAM. You know, after WrestleMania, things are always a little on the slower side, even for all promotions, really, it seems. But we're going to be talking a little bit wrestling at the end. But as always, we're going to be starting with some sports. And boy, oh boy, what a freaking night of sports it was. Tons of eliminations, both in the NBA and the NHL last night. So where shall we start?
Yeah, let's start talking some hockey, because we are a Canadian podcast after all here at A Plus Productions, A Plus Sports and Entertainment. So yeah, last night, Thursday, May 1st, was one of the great sports days of the year for North American sports, at least. 6 game sixes, many of which resulting in eliminations. We have a pretty good second round field for the NHL and the NBA. So the Toronto Maple Leafs eliminated the Ottawa Senators last night, winning that series 4-2. In the Eastern Conference, the Leafs are now playing Florida in the second round. Washington will be playing Carolina in the second round. Last night, Vegas also eliminated Minnesota, and the Edmonton Oilers, for the 4th year in a row, eliminated the Los Angeles Kings in the first round. Only the second time in the history of sports that's happened, Boris. The other being the Canadiens in the 1980s, stomping Boston 4 years in a row. So yes, the Golden Knights of Vegas are playing the Edmonton Oilers in round 2 in the West in the National Hockey League. Dallas and Colorado are going to a Game 7 in the West, and Winnipeg and St. Louis are playing a Game 6 tonight, where Winnipeg wins and they move on. Good times in hockey. How are you feeling about the NHL playoffs right now?
Yeah, nothing crazy just yet. Games have been good, though. It's been a very fun playoffs, as they always are, right? Playoff hockey just hits different. You know, I always tell people that, right? If you're not a fan, don't watch the regular season. Wait until the playoffs and you can see what it really is. But the problem with doing that, though, is that your expectations are so high with the level and the excitement that the regular season just doesn't hit the same. But playoff hockey just hits different, right? It's such a different beast. So much fun, so good. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Early on, who's looking good? Who do you think is looking hot right now?
Well, the biggest surprises to me are, I really thought Tampa Bay had a good chance this year. They came in healthy. They tinkered at the deadline, made a couple moves, bringing some people back in the past season and during this midseason, like Yanni Gourde and Ryan McDonough, pieces when they were winning cups that they lost. I really thought Tampa was going to do better, and Florida handled them. Florida eliminated Tampa in 5 games. The Florida Panthers, defending Stanley Cup champions, kind of limped into the playoffs, and then they got a little healthier And they've been looking amazing so far. So Florida is playing Toronto in round 2. That is a tall tale. That is a tough ask to Maple Leafs there. I don't know if they have a chance against Florida. Florida looks really good with a healthy Matthew Tkachuk in the lineup. Another surprising thing is your Kings. I thought your Kings were looking really good, up 2-0 on the Oilers. Your Kings of Los Angeles lost 4 in a row, and it's yet another heartbreak losing to the best player in the world, Connor McDavid.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? It's the best player in the world. Edmonton's looking really, really good the past few games. Can they keep it up though? Like that's the real question. Yeah, in the West, it's almost as if the Oilers have the same type of pressure that the Leafs have in the East, right? They're just like, you got to win at some point.
Yeah. Exactly. It's getting to be shit or get off the pot time. With Toronto, there's slightly more pressure, even, I would say, for 2 reasons. One, Mitch Marner, 100-point scorer, one of the 10 best hockey players on earth. He's a free agent, and he could easily walk if the Leafs don't. In any situation, he could walk. But I would say if the Leafs embarrass themselves in round 2, it's pretty much guaranteed that he's just going to leaf Toronto. He's going to walk away. And all compounding on that is the fact that they haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1967, since the original 6 teams, yada, yada, yada. We've all heard all of that noise. But the fact that there's 50 years of distance between their last Stanley Cup and there's so much riding on this playoff run, I think the Leafs do have slightly more pressure. But then next year, Connor McDavid's a free agent, and we're doing this exact same conversation with Edmonton too. So it's scary times for both teams. They both need to prove something.
Exactly. And one thing I did want to ask you is the Montreal Canadiens. Like, yes. I think a lot of people didn't even expect them at the playoffs. I feel like you even didn't at some to a certain extent, right? Like as a fan, obviously you did, but the realist in you was like, no way in hell. Man, that's going to be a scary team in a few years.
1,000%. Yeah. You look at the age of the people on their first power play. It's like Demidov is like 19. Ivan Demidov became the first ever teenager to score a multi-point game in the playoffs for the Montreal Canadiens, which is crazy. This is the oldest team in the NHL, and they've had so many legendary young players of all ages. But yeah, the first ever teenager to have a multi-point game for the Montreal Canadiens in the playoffs is Ivan Demidov. You add him to Caulfield, who's 24, Suzuki, who's 25, Lane Hudson, rookie of the year this year, probably. Offensive defenseman's 21. They have a great goalie in the NCAA / now in the AHL named Jake Fowler, who I think if and when they raise the Stanley Cup, it'll be Jake Fowler who's between the pipes there. But yeah, future's bright for Montreal. They were playing with house money. It was kind of like a joking, like rah bet. I did bet $5 on the Montreal Canadiens to make the playoffs this year. And in fact, they did do it for a payoff of like 19. It wasn't that much, but I'll always have that satisfaction, Boris. Somewhere deep down, watching the rebuild on Crave TV, I was like, this is happening. It's happening soon. And, yeah, it's good times to be a Montreal Canadiens fan, especially when you look at Tampa Bay Lightning, as we talked about in the Atlantic Division, getting a little older, not performing as well as you'd want. Toronto might be much weaker next year. Could be time for Montreal to take a big step up. But they have some holes in the lineup to address for sure, but they are a young team that is only improving. Get on this Canadiens bandwagon now, big homie.
Yep. Absolutely. It's going to be very interesting what happens there. But yeah, man, round 2 is just around the corner. For selfish reasons, I was really hoping that the Golden Knights would be eliminated. But we'll see, man. So, yeah. We'll see what happens there. All right, so that is the NHL. Obviously, we'll talk about that when we do these classic episodes of BAM. Let's move on to the NBA. Is it me or does it feel like there's just not as much attention on the NBA playoffs this year?
I know what you're saying. I think it will ramp up a little bit. I think there's some level of basketball fatigue. Like the NBA is not as hot as the other leagues. Like the NHL has all this talent and this new ESPN and TBS like push that there's getting a lot of attention. They're trying to put a lot of attention back into hockey. And I do feel like basketball is kind of it has become that sport that you follow on Instagram more than you actually watch the games. But there are still some really good games happening. Like last night's Knicks versus Pistons game with Jalen Brunson hitting yet another late shot to win, sending the New York Knicks to the second round. I thought that was a really good game. This Denver Nuggets versus Los Angeles Clippers. That's Kawhi and James Harden on the Clippers versus Jokic and the boys on the Nuggets. That's been a fucking phenomenal series. You got Steph Curry still hanging around, still trying to extend his run versus a very young, exciting Houston Rockets team. So the attention isn't there, but I actually think this has been a way better product
It has
on
been.
the court than the last couple of years of the playoffs. Like last year's playoffs were kind of boring. This year's has been actually pretty fucking good.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying, right? Like you're seeing a good mix between some of those classic teams that have been doing well for the past decade and some of the newer teams, and seeing them kind of mix it up, like Minnesota and whatnot, right? Like always good to see. Always good to see what's happening there. Any shocks? Anything you want to bring up in terms of the NBA?
So just quickly going through it, Cleveland sweeps Miami. That was to be expected. Cleveland is way better than Miami at this current state. So the Cavaliers are playing in round two. The Indiana Pacers, that one surprised me how easily the Pacers handled Milwaukee. And now the big talk around the Milwaukee Bucks is what do we do? Because Giannis Antetokounmpo is getting older. He's the only person worth half a shit on that roster at this point. Brook Lopez, God bless him, one of my favorites, but he's like 37 now. His career's almost over. Dame Lillard tore his Achilles in this series. He's gone for 18 months. If he comes back, God knows what you got there. And just looking around the NBA, it might be time for Milwaukee to trade Giannis and blow it up. That seems to be like the hot rumor going into the offseason. And the way that the Pacers handled the Bucks with Giannis and no one else on the court, that's the future that the Bucks are staring at. So it really seems like they're gonna fucking trade Giannis Antetokounmpo, buddy. That could be huge this offseason.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It just makes sense, right? There was everything points to that. Oklahoma, I think, is one of the only teams that can really afford him.
Yeah. The thing is, if you're the Thunder, okay, so the Thunder won what this year? 67, 68 games. They absolutely gator smashed the Memphis Grizzlies, sweeping them in round one. Oklahoma City looks great. If they go out and win the title already this year, there's like it's crazy to say this, but there's no need to trade for Giannis. There's no reason to blow up the core that they have to acquire a guy who's getting older when they already have this crazy well-oiled machine. So I agree that you'd think on paper that makes the most sense, but if they lose, with the caveat of if they lose this year, if they win the title this year, they're not going to do it because they're not going to need to do it. Houston is a team that could easily make a Giannis trade. They have a lot of young pieces, too many young pieces. Got some picks there in Houston. I can see the Houston Rockets doing it. And one team that people have been throwing out under the radar is San Antonio with Victor Wembanyama. And if you had Victor Wembanyama and the Greek Freak on the same team, Wembanyama and Antetokounmpo, they could win 70 games next year. Like, that's terrifying. That's the scariest video game team I've ever heard of in my life. So, it's interesting to say. I wouldn't be mad if the Raptors did it. The Raptors have a lot of young players to throw at Milwaukee. I don't think that will happen in a million years. I don't even think the Raptors are in like the top. If you look at the odds of the next team to acquire Antetokounmpo on like FanDuel, I don't even think the Raptors are listed. You know what I mean?
They are, but they're like 20 something.
Yeah, there you go. So like it probably won't happen. But Giannis and Masai Ujiri do have a relationship. And if you just even if you take 4 or 5 of the best Raptors and take them off of this roster, place Giannis in their place, we're basically like a much better Milwaukee. So it's maybe a little bit of a sideways move, but I think it would be somewhat diagonal towards the up portion for Giannis. But yeah, no, I would guess Giannis is probably, if he gets traded, going to the West. I would say Houston or San Antonio, looking like the big landing spots for this generational talent that is Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, and something that a lot of people haven't really talked about too much was just how many picks the Bucks don't have. So it's not like they can really
Yes.
build a team right now, right? Like that, almost trading Giannis is the almost their only choice at this point.
It really is, like, especially with that injury to Damian Lillard, is just so crippling and devastating. Like, that kind of forces their hand. This is the only way to restock the cupboard, and they could instantly restock the cupboard and they go from being completely fucked to actually relatively fine if they just make this trade. It is painful to trade one of the best players alive, but he already like he already won Milwaukee a championship. He's kind of done everything you can ask. You know, he was a 15th or 16th overall pick. He became one of, if not the best player in the league for a stretch there, won a title. It's like, it doesn't have to be a negative, hateful thing. It could be like, thank you for all you've done. Thank you for your loyal service. And we'll send you to a place where you want to go, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. Yeah, it's oh man, it's gonna be an interesting offseason to say the least. A lot of teams, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens, but the Bucks will either replenish some picks or be absolutely fucked.
Yes, absolutely. And maybe Giannis is so stubborn and so competitive that he'll want to go down with that ship. He'll say, "I'm a Buck for life." But it, I think the bright lights of Houston or San Antonio or somewhere else will entice this man to go. We're quickly going through the rest of the NBA playoffs. So round two, we have Cleveland versus Indiana. That's going to be a fun series. Indiana could give Cleveland some trouble there, but Cleveland should win that. Boston versus New York, same situation. New York should give Boston some trouble, but I do believe Boston will prevail there. Oklahoma City will play the winner of Denver and Los Angeles Clippers, which is going to game 7. That's going to be a fun day. I believe it will be Saturday night for the people in Denver, Colorado. They're going to have Nuggets game 7 and Avalanche game 7. And Denver could easily lose both of those. So that's very interesting. And then tonight, Friday night, May 2nd, Houston versus Golden State. If Golden State wins, they move on to play Minnesota, the Timberwolves, who kind of made quick work of your Los Angeles Lakers, a flawed Lakers team.
Very flawed Lakers team, but Minnesota won regardless. Yeah, man. Well, yeah, good times.
Anytime you have so little defense in the front court, so little big man defense that you make Rudy Gobert look competent offensively, you know there's some problems. There's some problems for LA. But at least they're obvious problems, literally. Like, just you got to do what Dallas did in the last couple of years when they had Luka and build a defensive team around him. Get those guys like the PJ Washingtons, the Daniel Gaffords who can actually get a rebound and fucking stop somebody around the rim.
Yep, exactly, man. Yep. All right, that is the NBA playoffs. Let's jump to some baseball. You already talked that you finally made it out to a game. That's really cool. But let's talk about those Jays. You see, this is the Jays team that I was expecting, not the Jays team that started the season. This is more or less, I think the Jays are very much a 500 team. I know they're not playing 500 right now, but they're pretty much going to hover around the 500 mark, I think, throughout the season.
I think so. It's frustrating. The story of the Jays for the last couple of years is the bats and the pitchers never play well at the same time. finally, we're starting to swing the bats and hit the home runs a little bit in the last couple of games, but the pitching woes are starting up now. So I don't know. It's tough to say, but like you said, like you just look at the talent that is no longer on this team from the last couple of years. Like obviously, like Teoscar Hernandez, trading him for a reliever who's not in our bullpen was a devastating blow. Although he probably would have walked in free agency anyway. Boy, I'd like to have Teoscar Hernandez in this lineup right now. The lack of catcher offense, Kirk. Although he did wake up a little bit in the last couple of days, like we've said, Kirk has not been having a good offensive season. We traded away Gabriel Moreno. We traded away the heart and soul of the clubhouse in Gurriel, and it's just like these are all being missed greatly over the past 2 or 3 seasons. They were like, it's just so frustrating to see a team with such obvious flaws, not unlike your Los Angeles Lakers, but not address them. A team cause their own pain and not try to fix the fucking glaring issues that they caused themselves. Yeah, it's tough. They're
It
like
really is.
The Ernie Clements of our team, the Davis Schneiders who got sent down because he was so anemic offensively. Like, we just need to find some guys who can fucking hit the baseball.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I honestly just do not fucking understand what is going on right now with the Jays. But again, that's a rant for the offseason once things need to be blown up. Um, but we got Guerrero for the next 15 or whatever years, so that's a thing.
At least there's that.
Yeah, at least there is that. It's funny. The National League West. Let's talk about that
Ooh.
freaking division. That division right now, my friend, is insane. You have 4 good teams and possibly a team that's going to put up a fight for the worst team in history, the Rockies.
Yes, yet again, the Colorado Rockies can't fucking they cannot figure it out. It is tough times in Colorado. Thankfully, the Nuggets and the Avalanche are pretty good, but yeah, the Rockies are a tire fire. But the other 4 teams in the NL West, being the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the San Diego Padres, and the San Francisco Giants, are all killing it this year. There's so much baseball left to be played, but we can easily see 4 playoff teams out of one division, which I don't think has happened before in baseball. And it's just crazy times, man. It's just absolutely insane that this division is so well, and they all get to beat up on the Rockies, so that helps. But I don't know, of these teams, who do you think is the one that's going to drop out, if there is one?
Probably the Padres, to be honest.
No, interesting. Because, yeah, coming into the season, we were both a little lukewarm on the Padres, but you could argue that the Padres are the best of them right now, looking like the most dangerous right now. So, I don't know. To me, I guess the easy answer would probably be the Giants, but the Giants just have that pedigree. They just get it done with pitching and defense. So it's almost like, though the Giants have the least amount of talent that jumps out at you when you look at their roster, they're actually the most poised to succeed just from their style of play. It's like the one that seems the most sustainable, you know?
What's crazy about this, man, is that the Diamondbacks, who are 4th place in this division with a 17-4 record, 548 winning percentage, would be in 2nd place in any other division.
Wow. There you go. There you go. So that just shows you how much talent is log jammed into that NL West. We like the Diamondbacks on this show. I'm more of a Snakes fan than you are, but I feel like I'm talking you into that roster a little bit. Full of ex-Toronto Blue Jays. God damn it.
Yep. Some breaking news out of the NBA. Greg Popovich is stepping down as coach of the San Antonio Spurs after 29 years and is moving to an office position. Seems that he is going to be team president at this point.
That makes sense. I guess he just had what they called a health episode recently in a restaurant, and he's old. He's had some big health issues. He's had a stroke already. Yeah, I think it's time for that, and it's just nice that Greg Popovich did get a chance to coach Victor Wembanyama as such a young player, kind of pass on some of that knowledge. It'll be interesting to see who takes that job, man, because they're getting a golden ticket, especially if Giannis comes. But even without, like, Victor Wembanyama should easily win a title or two just based on his size and his play style. It looks like the safest bet to win a future NBA championship that you could possibly imagine. So I imagine people are going to be clamoring for that job.
Yep. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what happens there, man. It just sucks. 29 years, Greg Popovich, man. Legend. Absolute legend. Hopefully that he can keep healthy for many more years to come. But, you know, the stresses, man, you can only imagine how stressful being a head coach is. It's a full-time job, even in the off-season.
Absolutely, positively is. Yeah, it should be. If you're not thinking about it nonstop, you're kind of doing it wrong. And he is a very competitive guy. Even in his old age, he hates to lose. And yeah, that's just added stress on a person who has accomplished everything you possibly can. Like, he doesn't need to fucking prove anything. You know, I'm almost glad to hear that he's going to try to enjoy the twilight of his life a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. All right, that is essentially all things sports. Matt, shall we jump over anything in the entertainment side that you want to talk about today?
No, not really. I'm kind of kind of wondering what show to watch next and stuff. I haven't really seen any good movies or anything recently. I don't know. What do you got on entertainment?
I've been watching too much bullshit. Finally caught up fully with Abbott and Abbott Elementary. Really good fucking show.
Nice.
Right now, obviously, Last of Us is on. I'm gonna save that rant for It's Canon on Monday. There's so much I want to talk about, and just the absolute fucking toxic fan base that there is, and it's just pathetic. People need to just fucking get a life at this point. Go out, touch some grass, kiss a girl, kiss a dude, kiss whatever the fuck you want, do whatever the fuck you want, but just stop watching TV. Some people just need to get away from the fucking TV. Hacks is also on right now. Yeah, there's just so much fucking great TV on right now.
I'll dive into Hacks a little bit, and I'll report back to you next week. You know what? Oh, two things. One, you mentioning Abbott Elementary. Quinta Brunson hosting SNL this week. That will be fun. She's funny. I like her. I haven't yet seen the Always Sunny crossover, but I'm going to watch that fairly soon. One thing I have watched, which is fucking amazing, and you got to check out if you haven't, is the new season of The Rehearsal with Nathan Fielder. Have you watched that?
Not yet, but that's on my list.
The second episode of this season of The Rehearsal might be my favorite thing that Nathan Fielder's ever done. I was laughing so hard. It's so... The rehearsal is so elaborate and interesting and unique and unlike anything I've ever seen on TV. Nathan Fielder's a little bit of an acquired taste. He's not for everyone, but he's the kind of comedian that if you like what he's doing, you absolutely love him and adore him for life. And yeah, anyone who's seen a Nathan For You or is even a little bit inclined to check out some Nathan Fielder style comedy, some cringe, elaborate, interesting, weird, off the beaten path comedy, please go watch The Rehearsal season 2. And yeah, the most recent episode 2 of season 2 of The Rehearsal, is one of my favorite comedy shows I've ever seen in my life. Like, definitely one of the best things he's ever done. And it was just fucking just aces, just 10 out of 10, no notes.
Awesome. Oh, good to hear. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to that. Might be on my list this weekend. I'm just going to take it easy this weekend. So I'm going to probably catch up on some television and watch some sports and all that fun stuff.
Nice.
All right.
And then get fucking mad about it and scream about it on the internet board.
That's what I do. That's literally all I do. All right, let us jump over to some sports entertainment, also known as wrestling. Let us start with some Stardom news, man.
Yeah.
New Japan, Bushiroad. They are having a hard time right now, to say the least. Like the economy right now, Japan is not doing that great. They have, it's good, but it's not as good as it should be right now. And it's dripping. It's dropping. In fact, California, the state of California, now has a better economy than Japan. Having said that, the state of California has the 4th biggest economy in the world.
Interesting. Well,
but regardless, the yen is not doing too well. The economy is not doing too well. There's a lot of outside pressures. There's obviously more competition, direct competition to New Japan Pro Wrestling and anything Bushiroad related. So they are having a really hard time keeping talent with New Japan Pro Wrestling, as stars are just leaving New Japan. Jeff Cobb going to WWE very soon. In fact, starting probably sooner rather than later. Naito left. Bushi left. There's a lot of people are just leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, and a lot of contracts apparently are set to expire soon. And then on the Stardom show, on Stardom side, this past weekend we had the All-Star Grand Queendom, and we saw some notable exits like Mayu Iwatani and Tekla. Tekla likely going to the States. Mayu Iwatani officially going to Marigold. We all know who Marigold has a direct connection to. So, Matt, I want to get your take on this.
Yeah, so Marigold has a direct connection to WWE and Triple H and Rossi Ogawa, the former Stardom boss. So yeah, it's weird times for New Japan. They've had, grim times like this before, but it definitely feels like we're entering a valley and like a peak has officially ended in that company. And I feel bad for Hiroki Goto, who's probably going to get blamed, for lack of a better term, for a little bit of the lack of business. And it's kind of like when they put the world title on Shawn Michaels in 1995 in WWE. Like, business went down compared to other eras, but it was really not his fault at all. He was doing awesome work, and that's kind of how I feel like Goto is going to be looked at in some circles on the internet. But positives in Japanese wrestling right now, apparently this career match between Tam Nakano and Saya Kamatani that happened at the All-Star Grand Queendom show that you just mentioned, Boris. Apparently that was absolutely fucking phenomenal. One of the most emotional matches in the history of pro wrestling. Literally, I've seen a lot of people comment like, I haven't cried like that watching wrestling ever. Like, that was absolutely brilliant. Like, 5 stars. It has a huge rating on Cage Match right now. I have not yet seen the match, but I'm setting aside some time this weekend to give it the respect it deserves. No phone, treat it like a whole meal of food, and really get into that. But yeah, Tam Nakano and Saya Kamatani are 2 awesome performers. I think, without spoiling the result of the match, I think the performer who lost is retiring. They're not planning on coming over. I think it's a little bit of a health thing and a little bit of a self-preservation thing where their professional wrestling career is over. But I guess stranger things have happened than seeing them have a match or 2 in AEW, WWE. We also had our girl Miko Satomura, Hall of Fame professional wrestler, one of the great performers and great bookers in the history of professional wrestling, definitely in Japan. She retired too, and that match was apparently awesome as well. I've yet to see that. So a couple of huge joshi, female Japanese retirements happening in some incredible emotional matches.
Yeah, exactly. It was a great show. It was a really good show, to say the least. I watched it just a couple nights ago. Been having some trouble sleeping, so I'm just, I might as well watch some wrestling right now. But yeah, no, that show was really, really good. Try to watch that when you get the chance. But yeah, man, it's crazy. It's just crazy what's happening. So I have a feeling that we're going to be seeing Mayu Iwatani in WWE in some shape, way, or form, even as a one-off, much sooner or rather than later, to say the least. Mariah May, obviously, waiting in the wings as well. Man, crazy time right now in wrestling. Like, it's great seeing that talent having options.
Absolutely. And WWE is doing a good job when these talents come back over or come over in the first place. Like, Ethan Page has had a good run in NXT, as has Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints so far. I am interested to see how they handle Rusev and Aleister Black now that both have returned to WWE. So for Mariah May, do you expect her to end up in NXT or to go straight to the main roster?
I can see a quick NXT run for her, to be honest.
I think so. I think that's a good idea, and it could give NXT a bona fide champion level performer for 6 months to a year, right? Like, I think NXT almost needs Mariah May more than Mariah May needs NXT. But I do I do agree. I feel like she's going to start there.
Yeah, with Roxanne Perez, Julia officially on the main roster at this point. Yeah, they're still making appearances, but you can't. It's one of those things, right? I think they've learned that once you yank them and completely set them free from NXT, there's a hole. So I kind of like this new way of that they're doing things where they're kind of pulling double duty. But I can for sure see Mariah May kind of jumping in and kind of taking that place of both Julia and Roxanne Perez before she makes it to the main roster.
Yeah, great call. I agree. I could see some fans being salty, and maybe perhaps even her being a little salty because she doesn't need to go to developmental. She doesn't need to develop. But yeah, like we said, I think NXT needs her more than she needs it. Aleister Black looking pretty good in his brief new run here in WWE so far. Zelina Vega beat our girl for the U.S. title. That one hurt. That one hurt in the haunches, but Zelina deserves it, I suppose. I guess.
Yeah, good time at the Black resident, at the End resident residence.
Yes.
Yeah,
the End household.
Yeah, the End household. Yeah, so like you mentioned, Aleister Black today or on SmackDown, whenever you're listening to this, facing The Miz. Perfect first opponent, right? Perfect first opponent for Aleister Black there. good on him. Good seeing him. Really cool presentation. Glad the song is back to a certain extent. Yeah, Aleister Black. So weird seeing him back. Rusev, kind of looking cool. He had a very cool promo on Monday. Back to his AEW Redeemer gimmick, it looks like.
That was his best gimmick. That's way better than A, generic Russian bad guy, or B, beta cuck, which was his gimmick under Vince McMahon. I don't think that's going to sell many tickets. I think the Redeemer is better than soy boy beta cuck gimmick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I really did appreciate what he did on Monday. It was really cool to see that. Going back to NXT real quick. So this week on NXT, they have a 25-man battle royal to determine who is going to be facing the NXT champion Obafemi at Battlefield in a exhausting Tampa Bay weekend later on this month in May. One of the names that is going to be in this is a name that has quietly come back to WWE backdoor via Evolve, and that's our boy, Timothy Thatcher.
Oh, Timothy Thatcher versus Obafemi. I don't think that WWE would do that. I don't think that they would main event a pay-per-view with that match, but boy, I'd like to see it, Boris. I'll tell you that much. I hope they do. That would be fun. I kind of hope they give it to someone a little bit under the radar, like maybe like a Charlie Dempsey, maybe like Timothy Thatcher, someone who could give Obafemi a different type of matchup and someone you wouldn't expect on paper. That would be really fun. Timmy Thatcher, if he won that battle royal. Who do you think is going to win it?
All right, so I'm going to tell you 23 of the 25 spots have been announced, and WWE announced that TNA could have some of the spots as well. I guess there's only 2 spots that they could have. But listen to the group: Timothy Thatcher, Chris Island, Shiloh Hill, Ridge Holland, Sean Legacy, Brad Baylor, Ricky Smokes. Not Starks or Saints, Smokes.
Okay.
Ethan Page, Josh Briggs, Yoshiki Inamura, Trick Williams, Nico Vance, Brooks Jensen, Sean Spears, Javon Evans, Eddie Thorpe, Charlie Dempsey, Tavian Heights, Miles Bourne, Lexus King, Wesley, Tyreek Igwe, Tyson DuPont. I'm going to assume Joe Hendry is going to be in this. Joe Hendry and Trick Williams have been feuding over the past couple weeks, including Impact on Thursday night, where Trick Williams attacked Joe Hendry in the main event, and then Trick Williams attacked Joe Hendry after the Rebellion pay-per-view. So I could see Joe Hendry making an appearance and him and Trick Williams doing the classic eliminate each other and fight to the back type of gimmick. So that's 24 of the 25 spots.
Yep. Okay, I like where your head's at. Do you have a secret TNA 25th guy who you think might take this down?
Man, I don't know, man. I really don't know. If I were to put someone from TNA into this, obviously Moose would be a good name, but we've already seen the whole Moose Obafemi thing.
Yeah, which was great.
Which was fucking great. It was really good. Watch that match. One of Moose's best matches ever. Like, say what you want about Moose. That guy is legit right now. Like, he's putting on some pretty damn entertaining matches. Who in TNA?
Even Dan the Mouth Lavransky would have to give you that.
Every time I talk about Moose, that's who I think of.
Shout out, Mouth.
Yeah, hey, Mouth. Man, who would be the 25th man in this NWO? I'm not sure. I really can't think of it. No name jumps at me from TNA that's big enough per se. Kazarian, he was in the last Battle Royal, did fairly well.
True.
He's also doing a thing with Joe Hendry right now. Dolph Ziggler, maybe.
Yeah, always an option. Dolph Ziggler. We haven't seen Dolph. Old Nick Nemeth. We haven't seen him against Obafemi yet, I don't believe, and he's always an option to do it. I do think maybe they'll do like a Cardona. There you go. That could be interesting. That could be something for sure. I'm going to say that they're going to stick in-house. My head is saying Lexus King right now. He just lost his Heritage Cup. He could be due a main event kind of see how he handles that spotlight. My heart is saying Charlie Dempsey, but I'm going to officially pick Lexus King. Brian Pillman Jr., I think, might win this battle royal and get that title shot versus Ober Femmer.
Yep. Battlefront, battleground. I don't remember. Ground or front. It's been one of those weeks, everyone. It's gonna be a very good show, but man, there's just so much wrestling that weekend. You got SmackDown on Friday, Saturday night's main event on Saturday with John Cena. Sunday, you have the NXT show plus Double or Nothing. Oh, so much fucking wrestling, man.
Yes, and AEW Double or Nothing looks like it's going to be really fucking good right now. Like that actually on paper looks like it's going to be a spectacular card. I like what AEW's been doing recently. I haven't watched much Raw or SmackDown. I haven't watched the TLC match yet on SmackDown that people have been raving over. Useless. I need to go check that out. I'm a useless fuck. You
useless bastard. Why do we?
I've been out here hanging out with friends and touching grass like an absolute fucking loser.
Over fucking rated, you fucking nerd.
I need to watch more TV and rage more.
Be one of the nerds I rant about, you bastard.
That's what I'm saying.
No,
boys. But yeah,
that's the thing. Look, the fact. It's post WrestleMania. I think everyone takes a bit of a break after WrestleMania, right? Like regardless of what promotion you watch, I find that April, May is always kind of like a different time for wrestling. Like I know if you're like AEW lenient, you got Double or Nothing, which tends to be one of their bigger shows of the year. But I know a lot of people just kind of watching bits and pieces of wrestling as opposed to the full shows right now because they're tired. You know, the first quarter of the year was a lot.
There's just so much wrestling. That's how I watch all wrestling now. Ever since I stopped doing the AEW review podcast for the old shop, I don't really watch that many full shows anymore. Although I have been watching AEW still. I have been at least fast forwarding through some of it, but watching start to finish with some fast forward in there, all the shows. So I do think AEW is in a really good spot. I think AEW is doing better than WWE right now. Honestly, yeah. But again, I haven't been watching WWE super closely, but it just seems like AEW is doing better.
Better possibly. They're more consistent right now. I find that they're hotter in a sense that, you know, people are just mad at WrestleMania still. So there's that.
Yeah.
I also find though that we're just getting the glimpses of what made AEW special. There's still some really stupid shit in AEW. There's still some things that just should not be on TV in AEW, but they're putting on a pretty good show right now. I'm going to say that. I'm going to give them credit where credit is due. That's what we do. We call out bullshit regardless of what promotion you are, and we call out good things regardless of what promotion you are. But yeah, right now AEW is they're heating up to say the least. To say the fucking
least.
Yes,
I think so. I think that's fair. I'm really, really enjoying MJF and the Hurt Business. I actually think those segments have all been very... Really?
Yeah. Dude, we've seen this 1,000 times. He's done this with the Pinnacle. We've seen this in WWE with Sami Zayn. We've seen this story 1,000,000 times. Like, MJF literally does the same two stories over and over. Dude, we even saw this with Adam Cole. This is like Adam Cole all over again. MJF is the most stale act in AEW. That's my rant for the week.
That's interesting. That's fair enough. I can see where you're coming from, but I think this isn't the same as the Adam Cole thing. I guess it's kind of the same as him trying to amass the Pinnacle, but it's a little, I don't know, it's a little different. I kind of was digging MJF being like the godfather of AEW here with all of his hoes, the MJF hoe experience. But no, I don't know. I've been really liking this one. I think just the actual work they're doing on the mic. I really like MVP. I think Shelton Benjamin is showing some personality. Even Bobby Lashley's cutting like good promos. It's actually really working for me. It's like one of my favorite things in wrestling right now for some reason.
You have a really weird taste.
Maybe that's it. I like
like I get, like I know where you're coming from, right? It's just it's just this repeating pattern of MJF doing the same thing over and over and over. We saw this with the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle. We saw this with Adam Cole to a certain extent. Like, it's just the same shit over and over and over. Like, fuck, man, get a new stick.
I think why it feels new to me is because he's not the leader. He's the one trying to like suck up and trying to join the crew, which is a new note for this character. But yeah, if you really break it down, it's kind of similar. I respect and accept that argument, although personally, like I said, it's I don't know, it's tasting good to me, but maybe I have horrible taste.
Again, that's the beauty thing. Wrestling is like, I just love the fact you like it, I hate it, you know. But look, I don't hate you too much about it.
The angry rant online will only be 1 paragraph, not 5.
Exactly. No, it's AEW is doing good. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. There was something else I wanted to talk about in regards to WWE before we move on. Oh yeah, WWE earlier this morning announced that they are coming to Perth officially. We saw commercials during WrestleMania weekend. We saw rumors. We saw dates being thrown out, but now it is official. Friday, October 10th, SmackDown. Monday, October 13th, Raw. And on Saturday, October 11th, Crown Jewel, Perth. Happening at the RAC Arena in Perth, Australia.
Crown Jewel, I thought that was a Saudi-only show. It'll be interesting to see Crown Jewel elsewhere in the world. Australian crowds have been pretty good historically. It'll be pretty. We have some Australian listeners. Shout out, Scott. Shout out, our Australian fans. I hope they can go and enjoy that wrestling show. It'll be nice to see Rhea Ripley in front of her home crowd and Grayson Waller and many others. Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Australia is an underserved market.
Yeah, it really is. It's just so hard, right? It's just so hard to get out there. But it's cool seeing that, hey, they were there last February. They're here again. Like, it's good to see them do this for the Australian fans, right? Like, it's cool to see the international touch that AEW and WWE are doing. AEW doing their London tour later this summer with some episodes of TV and Forbidden Door. Dude, mid-June, I think it's June 16th. I'm not in front of a calendar or really my computer to double check this. You can do that. Well, you can't even do that for me, really. Arena Mexico, AEW Dynamite sold out in Arena Mexico in the District Federale of Mexico, aka Mexico City. Sold out show. Really cool for them. Really happy, man. That's so. Again, it just goes to show you, right, how hot that company is right now. Yeah, man. It's going to be, those shows are going to be fucking insane. Earlier this morning, they announced from AEW announced that, I believe, I'm doing this all from memory, August 27th to September 11th, they are doing a residency at the 2300 Arena in Philadelphia. So Dax can watch like 8 shows from AEW, including ROH pay-per-view within that time.
Extreme residency at the old ECW arena. Yeah, that's like that one's a little weird to me, but their shows at Hammerstein recently, AEW's, were all really good. And then when NXT went to the ECW arena, that was really good. So yeah, Tony Khan has had the biggest boner for ECW his entire career. He loves ECW. So anytime he can kind of shout them out, he's going to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So if Moxley's around, assuming he's around and not on a much needed vacation, how many times out of those 8 shows or something like that will he bleed?
4 minimum, half the time at least. 3.5, and I'm taking the over.
And you do know that they're going to have one of the most stupid, crazy, cringe-worthy matches humanly possible on TV in one of those shows.
Absolutely. We've already seen like the nail thing. I don't know how they're going to top that. The nails and
bring out a gun. Back, just shoot someone's kneecap.
It may as well. It'll probably be like Julia Hart versus Chris Statlander or someone who do it too.
Yeah. Hopefully not Sky Blue. Apparently Sky Blue will be back very soon after her broken ankle. God, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. 10 months for her to come back. Broken ankles.
But yeah, I could definitely see her. You know what? They should add her to the John Callis family. Let her do her thing with her beau, Kyle Fletcher. And I think they need a female in that group. They need a women's wrestler, and she could be the one that could help a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Would be cool. Like I like how they're mixing, the males and the females in these groups nowadays. It's really cool to see that connection there. There was something else I wanted to talk about AEW, and I absolutely forgot what it was. I guess it's not that important.
Yeah, we'll circle back to it next week. We should do a couple items of feedback before we send the listeners on their way for the weekend.
Yep. So, as always, Blaine with his feedback. Again, thank you so much to everybody, including Blaine, including everyone who constantly adds to the group. The best way to keep in touch and to add to the discussion and to be part of the discussion is by going to facebook.com and joining the group A Plus Productions. All right, so here is Blaine. He says, AEW finally starting to pick up steam and get back to where they were prior to All In 2023. They really excel when the central focus is on wrestling. Their stories have gotten better, and they've finally learned how to build towards pay-per-views rather than booking the entire card in one show. Women's wrestling especially has been on fire this week with the four-way on Raw between Roxanne, Rhea, Io, and Julia, the main event tag on NXT, the Toni Storm match on Dynamite, and Tessa versus Masha at Rebellion. Speaking of Rebellion, you'd be doing yourself a massive disservice to not go out of your way to watch Mike Santana versus Mustafa Ali. I don't think words can even express how good it was.
Yes.
It needs to be seen. Absolutely. This match was so fucking good. Really good. Best match of both of their careers. And that's saying a lot from Mike Santana. All right, back to the feedback. I feel like WWE is doing a better job of building towards Backlash within 2 weeks than the entire 6-week build to WrestleMania. Even the matches feel more marquee. My one gripe is about the Becky and Lyra segment from this past week. I wish Lyra would have shown more fire during that exchange. I always hate when someone is humiliated or beaten down 1 week and their response the next week is just another promo. I also think they could have held off on McAfee versus Gunther for another show. I feel like they could have milked the angle a little more and had McAfee take the night off. The angle and follow-up promo were great, aside from him returning to Cole as the GOAT, but it feels a bit rushed. There's a reason for this, my friend Blaine, and that is because they're building up to Goldberg Gunther. That's what this whole point of this match is. Apparently, yeah, they're building up to Goldberg versus Gunther, which is weird because Big Papa Pump is going to be involved in this match. Like, he's going to be in McAfee's corner. He's helping him train, quote unquote. I don't know what's going on, but that's a thing that's happening. But yeah, the whole Gunther McAfee thing is leading up to be the payoff to what happened at Bad Blood between Gunther and Goldberg.
Very interesting. I think that could probably be one of the SummerSlam matches, and it'll be Goldberg's retirement, right? Like, is that going to be lasting throughout the entire summer?
Yep. That's what I'm assuming. Okay. That's exactly what I'm assuming. The other thing, WWE is doing a better job of building towards Backlash. And I kind of agree with that to a certain extent. I still think that the build was better for WrestleMania overall than people think. But it really did feel like WrestleMania was just another PLE. Because I do feel like it was a setup for Backlash, which is really, right, at this point, seems to be about John Cena and his retirement tour, rolling through St. Louis, Randy's hometown, to humiliate him in front of his family type of thing, right?
It is cool to see babyface Orton versus heel Cena. Like, that's a fun twist on it. But between Cena versus Orton, chapter 37 or whatever it is, Gunther versus Pat McAfee, and Logan Paul versus Jey Uso, I don't know if I'm going to be watching WWE Backlash, honestly. If we're planning on doing a podcast for it, I'm not going to be like cavalier and be like, man, I don't want to. Like, I'll watch it to do a podcast with you, of course, Boris, but I'm not very excited for this Backlash at all. A big reason why I haven't gone back and watched any of the WWEs, because I'm looking at this card and I'm like, really? Is this what we're doing here, guys? But if they're doing a good job in building it up, perhaps I should give them a chance and not judge a book by its cover here. But I'm not liking this on paper at all, honestly. Like, this seems like a pretty fucking skippable show. No? Am I wrong? I guess I'm wrong.
You're wrong. Just like your MJF, you're fucking wrong on this one too, my friend.
Get out of here.
No, I'm looking forward to this show, to be honest. But again, if you're not watching, then if you're picking and choosing what you're watching, then that's a perfectly fair statement to say, right? Like, I totally get it. And it just goes to show you how important it is for a card to be just as big on paper without knowing what's going on, without knowing who's got momentum and all that fun stuff, as having those marquee matches, for people who just watch pay-per-views. There's a huge group of WWE fans that do that.
So I would say like the vast majority, you know what I mean? And yeah, that's definitely where I'm at with WWE right now. But I'll catch up on it before the Backlash show, and I'm sure the show itself will deliver. And that is fun. I don't have much time for Pat McAfee after his anti-Canada rant over at fucking Elimination Chamber, but whatever. I'm not going to hold a grudge for that for my entire life.
I have many more reasons to hold a grudge at McAfee for, right? Like there's, it's honestly at this point when it comes to our friends down south, just whatever. You guys get a bye for the next few years in my brain because it's just a shit show.
It's craziness. Live and let live, and like I don't know, man. Like, yeah. I feel you. Let's not get into Canadian politics, but I blocked 7 people on Facebook because of the Canadian election, and it's because I hope to remain friends with them. Sometimes the best way to stay friends with someone is to remove them as friends on Facebook because I don't want to fucking see their dumb thoughts about whatever it is. You know what I mean?
think I removed you as a
friend? Yeah, exactly. No, like I don't know. Like,
no, it's
very rarely do people like reach out and say, "Hey, you blocked me on Facebook." And if you do ever do that, it's deeply pathetic and cringy. And that's when I would probably stop being your friend in real life.
Yep. All right. I'm gonna ask you this. I know that you posted already that there was an awesome thread from Yorkie that came from CVV. I'm not sure where he got it from, but it was 7 Wrestlers Theory. And it was a really cool thread that got some pretty cool responses. Nice. Go to the A Plus Productions group to check it out. So let's go through this. 7 wrestlers. 1, the one that made you fall in love with wrestling. 2, your newest favorite wrestler. 3, the one that always makes you smile. 4, your comfort wrestler. 5, the one you miss the most. 6, the one you'd protect with your whole life. And 7, the one you're rooting for the most. Matt, I'm going to put you on the spot. You want to give her?
Sure, yeah. Let's go through them. Let's go through them all. So one by one. What's the first one again?
The one that made you fall in love with wrestling.
I have to be the Macho Man, Randy Savage. Oh, yeah. When I was like 1990, I was like 3 years old. He instantly stood out. And I went back and watched all the WrestleManias, all the fucking blockbuster video I could get my hands on. My older cousins gave me huge stacks of wrestling magazines. And I feel like I've been trying to be a wrestling historian since I was a young kid, and that's all based on Macho Man, Randy fucking Savage. He was the one who made it click in my brain at a very young age. Who's that guy for you, Boris, or lady?
Considering the era, it was Alondra Blaze. No, the one that made you fall in love with wrestling. Again, this is you have to remember, 4-year-old Boris. That would be Hulk Hogan, right? Hulk Hogan. It was the build up to WrestleMania 5. That got me into wrestling. I one of my first wrestling memories is always going to be the breakup of Hogan and Savage and Miss Elizabeth in the back and Savage freaking out on Hogan and all of that, right? Like that's one of my earliest memories of my family with friends of the family, just watching Saturday night's main event as we did, right? Like. That's what it was. Obviously, he's not the same person that he was back then, but that's who made me fall in love with wrestling. All right. Number 2.
No, well, pretty racist. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That totally makes sense. We were all Hulkamaniacs at one point. Hopefully not.
I know 2 people who never were. Dan Matlov-Ransky and my friend and my friend Andrew Kapolka. He's never ever liked Hogan, even as when we were kids. He never liked him.
Amazing. And it turns out they were right. They were right in the end.
Number 2, your newest favorite wrestler.
I guess I could probably find someone even newer. On the thread, I wrote Eddie Kingston, so I'll stand by that. You know who it might be though? Roxanne Perez. She's newer on the scene, and I do really appreciate her. But Eddie Kingston is the one who, no matter what he does, no matter who he's wrestling, I will always make time to seek out Eddie Kingston. MJF's kind of on that level too. But yeah, gun to my head, Eddie Kingston is the answer for me. Who's that person for you?
Roxanne Perez. I've been following her career closely, covering ROH for Slam, and now covering everything. Right, Roxy she's just always been so much fun to watch. There was always something special watching her. You knew that there was, as the French say, I don't know what with her. Right, and it wasn't it wasn't the commentator hype. It was just overall yeah. She's just been so good since the beginning.
Real ones know, man. Like she is a wrestling fan's wrestler. You can tell that she is a student of the game. She has watched a ton of it. Her instincts are so great. Her fundamentals are so great. She just knows and understands wrestling and always has good matches with everyone, regardless of their experience level. And now that she's a heel, she's also a really good promo and character. Because as a babyface, she was a little generic. She wasn't a very good promo, but now she has really found her stride in that way as well. So yeah, nothing wrong with that answer.
Number 3, the one that always makes you smile.
This is so many. This could be so many different wrestlers. But I wrote, I believe, Kevin Owens on the thread. And Kevin Owens is the one he's always doing stuff. He's always risking life and limb, out currently with a horrible neck injury. We hope that he's great and he's going to be healthy and he's good going forward. But yeah, his promos just always crack me up. His banter in the ring, yelling at fans, he's always doing something that puts a smile on my face. So I'm going to shout out the great Canadian boy, KO.
So my answer is a little different, and the reason for that is because I didn't want to repeat wrestlers on this. So the one that always made me smile, or made me smile, is Eddie Guerrero. Anything he did, honestly. The first time I saw Eddie Guerrero, funny enough, was in the Worlds Collide show back with the AAA WCW show. I remember watching, I was 8 years old, 7 years old. It was the first time that I saw Eddie Guerrero. I'm this guy's Mexican, but he thinks he's American. He's like me. Not really, you know what I mean, right?
Love it.
I've always had this affinity towards heels. I don't know why, but I just remember since then, just following Eddie Guerrero just religiously. He was one of the main reasons why I gave WCW a chance before I knew about anything, right? Eddie Guerrero, and look at his run in WWE, just the classic moments that he's had. I'm just so happy and grateful that I can see his son Dominic doing such a great job right now in WWE.
Amazing answer. No notes. Yeah, that when Worlds Collide pay-per-view from 1994, legendary, and the mask, the double Lucha de Apuestas match, Boris, is going down in history as one of the greatest tag team matches of all time for a good reason. Shout out Eddie Guerrero. I'll be talking about him in a second.
Yep. All right, your comfort wrestler, Matt.
Yeah, strange concept, a comfort wrestler, but I like it. I'm for it. I'm going to pick the hardcore legend, one of the most violent and disturbed men of all time, Mick Foley. Gives me great comfort. But literally, honest, to this day, sometimes I'll be bored and I'll just fire up YouTube, Mick Foley promos, ECW, or from overseas, or from Mankind, his run with Jim Ross, those legendary sit-down promos. You can lose 2-3 hours easily watching Mick Foley, just his promos, let alone his work in the ring, which was always good. Mick Foley was somebody who has become underrated as a wrestler. He always had very good, compelling, interesting matches. His matches were always laid out very well, like a Xavier Woods nowadays, where he might not be the best athlete, but he's telling amazing stories in there all the time. So yeah, in ring or out, it's got to be Mick Foley for sure for me.
Yeah, your comfort wrestler for me, it's Bret Hart. There's just something about a Bret Hart match that always made me feel comfortable, always made me feel cool. I never cringed in a Bret Hart match. It's funny because I didn't like Bret Hart during his run with Owen, right? I hated him because Owen hated him. Hence, therefore, I needed to hate him. But obviously, over time, you just couldn't help but love Bret. And Bret was just so fucking good, man. He's just I to this day, If I have 20 minutes to spare, I can watch a Bret Hart match. It doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. Like, that's for me. It's just like eating that good old home cooked meal. It's like watching a Bret Hart match.
And he's another one who never, ever, one time, ever in his life had a bad match. You could fire up Bret Hart versus friggin' Ricky Steamboat from 1986. Obviously, that's going to be good. Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Obviously, that's going to be good. But you could also watch Bret Hart versus Andre the Giant, or Bret Hart versus Papa Shango, or Bret Hart versus fucking, I don't know, Skinner, Damian Demento. And all those matches slap as well.
Hakushi.
Yeah. Oh, man. He had a couple bangers with Hakushi. Yes, I remember In Your House for like 1995, September or October-ish. Amazing match with Pirate Jean-Pierre Lafitte. Let's go.
Yep. All right. The next one is the one you miss the most, Matt.
And with all respect given to the Macho Man Randy Savage and Owen Hart and many others who have left us too early, it's got to be Eddie Guerrero. I remember watching the Raw where after Eddie Guerrero passed away with my family, my mom and my sisters, and we were all just bawling. And they didn't even like wrestling, but it was just so sad. And just like, yeah, Eddie Guerrero to this day would be a valued, spectacular member of, I imagine, WWE, but perhaps AEW, whatever company he was working for. Were he alive today, he would be a valued member of that company. And yeah, I definitely miss Eddie Guerrero the most. It sucked that as he was finally cementing his status as a bona fide, no doubt main eventer, his body gave out on him, man. And he was getting healthy too. It seemed like overcoming his addictions, and yeah, just a terrible tragedy, and it is felt to this day.
Yep. For me, it's Owen Hart. Remember watching that pay-per-view live and just thinking that this can't be true. Just being glued to the news the next day and everything that happened the next day. And yeah, Owen Hart, man. Owen Hart's the one that I miss the most. Like, again, he was my favorite wrestler growing up. Once the new generation started, it was always Owen for me. And through that Bret Hart thing, and because he was the little brother, that's what made me connect with Owen Hart. He was the little brother that got no attention, right?
1,000,000%, yeah.
He was such a good wrestler. I never realized how good of a wrestler he was until much later, later in his life. But fuck, man, it just what was taken from us sucks. He was just years away from having matches, months away from having matches with people like Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, etc., etc. And that's just on a professional level. On a personal level, I can't even fathom, right? The nicest wrestler that I've ever met, like, he was so nice to me. I was a kid, obviously, but like, Owen Hart was just such a cool dude. And I remember telling him that I hate his brother, and he looked at me and essentially, I forget, like, I can't quote, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he essentially said, "No, family is the most important thing in your life."
No. Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Owen, yeah, like, if you watch The Dark Side of the Ring about his life and career, you can just see the love that his family had for him. Obviously, you know what I mean? Like, you would think that would come through, but it's just like, this was clearly a great family man and a great performer. And yeah, it's just like in Eddie Guerrero, his absence will always be felt in the wrestling industry.
Yep. The next was a little weird, but we'll roll with it. The one you'd protect with your whole life.
Yes, Toni Storm, a precious jewel of professional wrestling. I would sacrifice myself for her. Although, again, I suspect she does not need my protection and would rip my tits off, Boris. Her words.
Can I put Mackenzie Mitchell here?
Yeah, of course. You do whatever you want. Yeah.
Mackenzie Mitchell. Boom. Done. Yeah. That's a weird one to me. Okay, and the last one, the one you're rooting for the most.
This is definitely Eddie Kingston, for sure. Every time Eddie, and he has that Dusty Rhodes, Mick Foley, man of the people thing. And every time he wins,
you're gonna get so much hate for that comment right there. You compared Eddie Kingston to Mick Foley and Dusty Rhodes?
He is the next person in that lineage. He is.
I get it.
He's even chunky. He's even a husky lad. He's a husky Harris, not unlike you or me, Boris. And every time Eddie Kingston wins, it feels like you win at home. He's the only wrestler since those guys who has that vibe, man. And that's definitely Eddie Kingston. I would protect him. I could answer Eddie Kingston for all 7 of these because he's injured and I miss him too.
Yep. He'll be back soon. But I get what you mean, man. And that's what makes me laugh about some of the wrestling fans. It's like, yeah, it is what it is. All right, number 7, the one that you're rooting for the most. I would have to honestly say Julia for me, right? Like for me, Julia making the huge move from Japan. You just never know how it's going to go with these ladies who come from the joshi world. But Julia's already making an impact, and I think I just want her to achieve everything and then some. Honestly, if I could just put all the joshis in number 7. That's it, right? Like anyone who comes from Stardom or Marigold or wherever the fuck they're coming from, yeah, I've just really rooting for Julia and them.
Nice, man. Well, that was fun. Like where your head's at on that, and yes, we will protect Mackenzie Mitchell with our lives.
Yeah. All right, man. That is that. I think we have talked enough sports entertainment. So it is time for us to go. Again, thank you so much. The best way to get a hold of us and finding us is by going to aplusproductions.com, spelling everything out. If you want to be part of the conversation, and the best way to leave feedback is by going to facebook.com and searching for A+ Productions, where the plus is the symbol for plus. That's facebook.com and searching for A+ Productions. We are going to be coming back next week. I think over the next few weeks, during the wrestling lull, we're going to be doing some more classic BAMs. But again, I know I've been saying this for the past few weeks, and I think we'll be able to announce something very soon. We're going to talk about where you'll be able to hear the A+ wrestling show specifically. Really looking forward to that. Tons of huge things coming. And I can promise and guarantee you we're going to get access to some of the top names in pro wrestling coming up very soon. Some really, really exciting things happening here at A+ Productions. It's kind of been building up to this. I know that it's been a slow build, but that's the thing. It's a slow build, just like storytelling. It's time that we go balls deep in this mofo known as A+ Productions.
All right. Let's go. Let's do it. Balls deep indeed. Yeah, man, that's fun. And then just Backlash coming up Saturday, May 10th. I guess we'll do a show for that. AEW Double or Nothing and NXT Battleground Sunday, May 25th. Those are. I guess we'll probably do shows for those as well. Definitely Double or Nothing, perhaps Battleground. For sure, Backlash. And I think I'll be on the Backlash show with you. You might be flying solo. Maybe you and Dax can handle that one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll figure it all out, man. In the background, it's all about fun, whether people want to do it or not. There was something else that I wanted to say, but I forgot what it was. That doesn't matter. It is time for us to go on. Thank you so much for listening. Honestly, this show is for all of you. It really does mean so much to all of us for listening and tuning in. And just remember to subscribe and leave a review. We did get review bombed to start things up, so we got to kind of play with the algorithm a little bit. So go to Spotify, go to Apple, go to wherever you listen to the show and leave a review, please, on behalf of the entire A+ Productions crew. And Matthew, thank you so much for listening, but most importantly, stay tranquilo.